Hey everybody, this is Jaime Bencia, Regional Commissioner at Region 1463. Want to say thank you so much for taking the time to kind of take a look at this video. There are a lot of slides in here, so I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as I possibly can. But I felt it was pretty important, all of us at the region felt it was pretty important that if you couldn't make the meeting, the parent meeting, that you at least got something that you can look at, you can hear our voice, you can kind of hear where we're coming from, and then if you happen to have any questions, you can let us know. So let me go through this real quick, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions and alleviate some of your concerns. So again, welcome, spring season 2020. We've been working extremely hard behind the scenes. It takes a tremendous amount of work, you guys, to make this all happen. Months upon months of several of our board members putting in emails and phone calls and board meetings and PowerPoints and just ideas, and it's an insane amount of work, but we love it. We love what we do. We do it all because we want to help out the community, and we want to help out you at Region 1463. So so we look forward to the season, and hopefully you guys will too. So next up, I basically said, it says thank you for coming. That's basically for those of you who were there at the meeting. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to read this. And again, right here on the slide is my name, Jaime Bencia. There is my email. You will have, on the same page you accessed this video, you should have the ability to access this PDF. So that way you don't have to watch the video. You can just download the PDF if you want to. But there is my email. Feel free to email me at any time. And I'll answer what I can. And if not, I will forward your email to the various, personnel that it makes sense to. For example, our coach administrators or our referee administrators or our registrars or whoever it makes sense to. So Area 1R. So we are Region 1463. And we are one of several regions that make up Area 1R. And Area 1R is obviously, it's our home base. It's the greater region. It's a big part of, Riverside County, right? It's not all of it, but it's a good chunk of it. And again, I'll just go ahead and read it off. So it's Corona, Jurupa, Riverside, Moreno Valley, Paris, Menifee, French Valley, and Murrieta. So we all make up Area 1R. And the reason why it's kind of important, other than the fact that it's important to kind of acknowledge our sister and brother regions, some of you in the older divisions will be playing against these regions. So, for example, 12U, 14U, and 16U, some of you will have games against these other regions soon. And we'll go into that in a little bit. So as far as the vision is concerned, so AYSO's vision is to provide world-class youth soccer programs that enrich children's lives. And the mission is to develop and deliver quality youth soccer programs which promote a fun family environment based on AYSO's 6 core philosophies. So, please understand, this is something that AYSO tries. This message, the vision and the mission and our philosophies is something that they try to ingrain in all of us on every single one of our presentations. It's incredibly important to them, which is completely understandable. It's important that they make us and you understand that AYSO really is here for the kids, right? They're really here to help build, a community. They're here to build a fantastic soccer program, and they're here for you. So, as far as I'm concerned, and something as far as my own background, I've been with AYSO for about 6-7 years. When I first started, I knew absolutely zero about soccer. And at this point, I've learned so much, and I've understood that this is a giant community, and one that I really love, and one that our board members love as well, and they work really hard for, and hopefully you will too. So as far as the 6 philosophies are concerned, so the first one, and it's the big one, really, it's everyone plays, right? So just keep in mind, a lot of other clubs, a lot of other organizations out there, they don't necessarily guarantee this. It could be a situation where you pay the funds, it might be a bit more expensive. It's possible that they pay their coaches, and it's possible they might have, coaches that are considered higher quality. But keep in mind that it may not be a situation where your child ever plays. They could sit down, a majority of the game. There's no requirements out there. That's where AYSO is actually different. AYSO National requires that all players play at least half the game. This is a requirement. So if for whatever reason you're noticing your own child not playing at least half of the game, this is a gigantic problem, and you got to let your division coordinators and your coach admin and your coaches know as soon as possible that you're noticing this. Now at 1463 here in Marietta, we go a step further. We go 75%. So each player has to play at least 75% of the game. And keep in mind, no one can play four quarters until everyone plays 3/4 of the game. So keep that in mind as well. Balanced teams. This is the reason a lot of you went to the in-player evaluations, whether it was last year or whether it was this year. So in-player evaluations is just for brand new players to the region. And it's really there to help us understand and kind of evaluate every single one of your children in terms of their skills, where they're at, their confidence levels, everything we can think of in order to help us put together balanced teams, which that's important because we want to make sure it's as fair and as fun for your players as possible, and as fair and as fun for you guys as well. Nobody wants to, be blown out. Now, keep in mind, unfortunately, this is not a perfect science. We do our absolute best to take all the statistics and put it all together and get balanced teams, but it's never perfect, right? I mean, it could be a situation where one team all of a sudden is just clicking and they start doing extremely well, and maybe another team isn't clicking as well and they're just not. I mean, with so many variables, it's really tough to say, but I want you guys as parents to understand we do our absolute best to kind of balance it out as much as possible. One quick caveat before I keep going. So if you've done an in-player evaluation already, you won't have to do it again. So during the season, coaches are instructed to kind of keep track of how their players are progressing. And at the end of the season, we get those final notes. So you will not have to attend in-player evaluations again. It is solely for players we have never seen before. Next up is open registration. All this means is that anyone can register at any AYSO they like. There are no boundaries. There are no restrictions. If you wanted to, you're living in Temecula. If you wanted to go ahead and register at AYSO New York, you absolutely can do that. There are no restrictions to it. It's up to you. Next up, we have positive coaching. Positive coaching. This kind of goes without saying, but obviously we want to make sure that our coaches are always sending out positivity out there. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about positivity. Sometimes coaches are out there kind of screaming and yelling at their players, and that's technically okay. That's okay as long as it's constructive, as long as the coaches are giving instructions. That's okay. But when it starts deviating towards negativity and asking players, why are they doing this? And making them, saying messages that might make them feel bad, that's when we got a problem. And that's what we're trying to instruct the coaches. Look, it always has to be constructive criticism or instruction, never voicing anything in anger or never voicing anything that makes it sound like they're coming down on the player at all. That's not something we promote. We always promote the opposite, which is positivity. Good sportsmanship, this goes for the entire region. So not just players, not just coaches, but this also goes for parents, referees, everybody. This is something that we've been really harping on the last few seasons, and the good news is that last season, we probably had the best season in terms of, the parents did a great job. They weren't out there yelling and being negative. They were just really positive out there. The players were being good sports out there. Everybody was being great to one another, and it was probably one of our best, most positive seasons we've had, which is fantastic. Player development. This again is one of our biggest, one of the biggest philosophies that here at AYSO 1463 we kind of follow. So while again it says on there, while winning in competition is great and it's a lot of fun, it really isn't exactly what we're all about, right? We're more about making sure that we're developing coaches, we're making sure we're developing players, we're doing both at the same time, because what we want to do is we want to foster kids getting the love of the game, right? And that's what's the absolute most important to us. So we want to make sure that we're developing their skills and making sure it's a fun environment for everybody. Next up, it's the Kid Zone. So we need to make sure we're supporting the Kid Zone. And basically what this is the entire park, the entire field, that is the Kid Zone. So again, I'll kind of briefly go through these bullet points, but kids are number one. It's always about fun, not winning, and I was mentioning that before. Fans only cheer, only the coaches should coach. This is actually a pretty important one. We want to make sure that, the parents are allowing the coaches to give instructions. If we have a combination of, parents out there yelling out instructions to the kids, it may not be what the coach wants them to do, and then all of a sudden you have the kids scrambling, not sure what to do. So really, we need to let the coaches do their jobs. Of course, no yelling in anger. We got to make sure to respect the volunteer referees, which I'll go into in a little bit. The next few are kind of funny because they're pretty obvious, but we got to make sure we tell it to you guys, right? Obviously, no swearing. That is not allowed. It could be a scenario if we hear you guys swearing, we'd have to more than likely ask you guys to leave. So please, no swearing. No alcohol, no tobacco or other controlled substances, no weapons, and leave no trash behind. And again, set a proper example for good sportsmanship. This is incredibly important to us, guys. So please do that. Spectator roles. So this is kind of along the same lines. You know, one of the issues we used to have in 1463, not so much anymore, but it's still our job to let you guys know, is we got to respect our coaches and our referees. Every single person out there is a volunteer. Every single person is taking their time out of their day, out of their family life to do this for your kids, right? So the last thing we need is for anybody to ever yell at the referees, ever yell at the coaches. You know, we want all these coaches and referees to come back. Without them, we cannot have this region. We cannot have this program. And on top of that, if you guys are out there, you guys decide you want to become coaches and referees, it goes the same way, right? You don't want anybody yelling at you. So again, like I mentioned before, the good news is there's been a major improvement in this in the last couple of seasons. So this really isn't as much of a problem, but we just want to make sure we put that out there so you guys understand that it's incredibly important that we all support and respect one another out there. So parent responsibilities. There are various responsibilities out there that, real quick, it's this slide, and it's also going to be a few other volunteer related slides, but this is the opening one for you guys to be aware of. So opening day tasks. So what that means is if you guys happen to have the opening game, you and your player and your team, you guys have the very first game on the field that day, you guys are responsible for the following. So parents, you guys are responsible for helping place the goals on the fields, adding the nets to the goals, placing stakes on the actual goals themselves, putting sandbags on them, helping them line the fields, checking for, gopher holes, because there are going to be several. There's a lot of animals out there who actually, create these little gopher holes. So it's incredibly important you guys are out there doing this. And then review the fields for any concerns and let us all know if there are some concerns. But more importantly, it's important to be proactive. I mean, ask your coaches, hey, where can I find sand? Where can I find, shovels to help fill in these holes? Just being out there to help out to make sure it's all safe for the kids. Now, the closing tasks, those are tasks that, for example, you have the very last game of the day. So it's important that you guys put the goals away, the nets away, you put the stakes away, sandbags away, and you pick up any and all trash around you. So if you guys have the very last game of the day, those are your responsibilities. Please help out your coaches as much as possible on that. Parent seating. So as far as fields go, we have certain fields that kind of go in a certain direction, other fields that kind of go in a more horizontal direction. So we're just trying to let you know when you get out there, there is one side that is always the home team side. And for fields 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7, the home team side is always towards the parking lot, right? The away team side is the furthest away from the parking lot. For fields 1 and 3 that are more horizontal, the home team side is always closest to the fences, right? So it's almost on both. Look for the fences. If you guys are closest to the fences, that's home team, right? If you guys are furthest away from the fences, you guys are away. So make sure you abide by that as much as possible. We know sometimes the sun gets in your eyes, but we just need to make sure that both sets of parents are on their own side, so that way everybody's cheering for the same team and all that kind of good stuff, please. Volunteer ID card. So this is a brand new initiative to our region. We've never done this before, but we felt it was incredibly important. So this season, we're going to have a lot of brand new coaches, a lot of brand new referees, a lot of new volunteers, and we felt that it was really, really important for you as parents and us as parents too, to really be able to understand really quickly who's a verified volunteer and who has been certified, right? So we are putting together this volunteer ID program. Every volunteer out there, coaches, referees, team parents, everybody out there, board members, they are going to be wearing a lanyard and they are going to have this this referee volunteer ID. And they need to be worn at all times. Now keep in mind, since this is brand new and we're kind of trying to figure this out, the first week or two, we might give a little bit of leniency, right? Because we still need to take photos. We still need to print these out. It's going to be a little tricky, right? But after week 3, we are going to be very, very tough on this. We're going to want to make sure that every volunteer out there has their ID badges and is wearing that at all times. Like it says on the slide, you don't have your ID, we're going to be a little tough on you. So you're going to want to make sure you have that ID card with you at all times. Safety as far as rain policy and heat policy. So technically, as far as rain is concerned, AYSO itself never, ever, ever cancels games due to rain. And this is a policy that goes towards even soccer, right? Soccer in general. If you watch, soccer games, it could be almost pouring rain and they never cancel. Now, keep in mind, chances are if it rains, it's not us who are canceling the game. It's actually the city of Marietta. The second they start seeing drops come down from the sky, they have a tendency to close the field. So if that were to happen, we will send out notifications on social media. We'll send emails through Blue Sombrero, or it's actually called Sports Connect now. We will notify you as much as possible. The coaches should notify you as much as possible whether or not it's canceled. But please keep in mind, if you have not received any notification at all, you have to assume that the game is still on. Please assume that the game is still on. Now, if we're hearing thunder and lightning, this is going to sound pretty obvious, but that's where play is stopped immediately, especially if we start hearing thunder. We stop play, everyone leaves the field, and we do not come back on the fields until at least 30 minutes after the thunder is stopped and lightning is stopped. So that's incredibly important for you guys to be aware of as well. Heat policy, even if it gets really, really hot, we know it gets extremely hot here in Temecula and Murrieta. Games are still on. The one thing that we will do is we will add extra water breaks. So that way, during the quarters, we'll stop play for a couple minutes, everybody go get some water, and then we keep going. So we'll provide more hydration for the kids. That's not a problem, but we definitely still play. Cancellations, we basically talked about this already, but it's the same thing. We don't cancel games. However, the city might. And if for whatever reason it ever happens, we will let you know through social media, through coaches, and through our websites, and through email. Equipment list. So it's really important that you guys are aware of this. For soccer balls, for Schoolyard and VIP and 8U and through 8U. So that includes 6U, 8U divisions. Schoolyard, your ball size is size 3. 10U divisions through 12U divisions, your size is size 4. 14U and above is size 5. Players are required to wear shin guards underneath their socks. So keep in mind, they have to be underneath the main sock that we provide you. So it has to be touching skin. It can't be a situation where you put the socks on, put the shin guard on, and then put the socks over it, right? Now, keep in mind, if your player does not like the feel of the shin guards on their skin, they can go ahead and put another thin sock underneath that. But the main sock, the sock that we provide you at AYSO, has to go over the shin guards, okay? Now, cleats are not required, but they are highly, highly, highly recommended, especially if, the players are out there running on grass. It's really important they wear cleats. Jewelry, not allowed. Things that aren't allowed. So no jewelry. So earrings, watches, necklaces, those are not allowed. Medical alert bracelets, those are the only exceptions. So if it's anything medical related, for example, one of our coach admin yesterday during the coach meeting was talking about how one of the players on his team had a little stub in their ear and it was actually helping with migraines. If it's something medical related, that's okay. But if it's not, we need to keep the kids safe. So no earrings, no watches, no necklaces, okay? Referees will check for this, and if they see this, they will ask the players to remove them. If they don't remove them, they will not be allowed to play. Sunglasses or glasses are, again, not allowed unless they're prescription. So, for example, my own son has prescription glasses, and prescription glasses are completely allowed. Referees will ask the players, but as long as they tell them, hey, they're prescription, you should be fine. Casts and or splints are not allowed unless it's been cleared by a doctor, and that's where we would need a doctor's note. We would need to have that signed, and we would need to have that absolutely before play. But for the most part, casts and splints are not allowed. Soft braces are okay, but for the most part, casts and splints are not allowed unless you have a doctor's clearance note, which we need definitely beforehand. Not on the day of. We need it the day, at least one day before game day. So I'm going to go through the different divisions. I'm going to kind of speed through this a little bit in order to kind of make sure we don't spend too much time here. But if you have any questions, any other questions besides what I provide you, we have our coach admin available. We have myself available. Feel free to email us and let us know. So the VIP program. So this is actually a program that we've been trying really, really, really hard to kind of get up and running. It's just been difficult. Basically what it is, it's short for the Very Important Players program. And it's for anyone who's mentally, who has some mental disabilities, mentally challenged. It's an incredible program. Talking to various other regions out there who do this, everybody who's involved has a tremendous amount of fun. And by the way, just so you guys know, this is not just for kids. It could be for anybody up until age 100. It doesn't matter. If they want to come out and play the game of soccer, they absolutely can. We're going to have what's called AYSO buddies, and they are these certified friends out there who are out there to kind of help out with this program. And they would play little short, 45-minute games out there just to have some fun, to get a chance to go out there and play the game of soccer. There are no practices during the week. It's just a Saturday program. But we have our VIP, program coordinator, instructor, Shauna Glicker, who would be out there working with you guys on this. By the way, if you happen to know anyone who's interested in this program, 1,000,000% let us know. This is a program that for whatever reason, we try to get the word out as much as possible, and we just can't get a lot of bites. And we really, really want to get this program going. So if you happen to know anybody who'd be interested, please forward that information and then let us know as well. Schoolyard. So this is for our younger crowd. So this is group training programs. Okay, so these sessions also occur Saturday for about 45 to 60 minutes. They do not have any practices. The idea behind the Schoolyard program is it's really to get the younger ones to learn the very, very basics of soccer and to kind of help them develop the beginnings of like how to, skip and jump and run and throw and balance and do all the beginnings and more importantly, to learn to love soccer, right? So one of the things that's almost incredibly important is that our coaches have to make this a theme. So every week they got to kind of make it thematic. So that way to keep the little ones interested and keep their attention spans, because it's really easy to lose the little ones. So that's what we're trying to instruct the coaches of Schoolyard to do. And more importantly, Schoolyard, this is actually really important for you Schoolyard parents. You guys need to be involved. You guys have to be out there on the field with your children. Typically with the other programs, the parents are just on the sidelines, just kind of watch and play. This one, it's incredibly important that parents are involved. So please, if you're a Schoolyard parent, you must get involved and be there with your child to help out. It's a lot of fun, and it's going to be something that will develop over time. And by the way, at the very end of every session, there will be a 10 to 15 minute little scrimmage game. So that way, not only will you get instruction, but you will get a chance to see your little ones play. That's where you can take your pictures and videos and all that fun stuff. So that way you can post them on social media and show them to the grandparents and have a little bit of fun. 6U division. So now at this point with the 6U, we're starting to get into exploration. Now it's a full-blown game. Now it's soccer, right? Practices for coaches. We written down 30 minutes on here, but the reality is, we really need a little bit more. So it needs to be like a 30 to 45 minute practice, and it's once a week maximum, right? We don't want to tire out completely the little ones, and it's really tough to get them out more than that. So once a week max is really encouraged for the younger 6U division. And really at this point, it's all about exploration. It's all about kind of learning a little bit more about the program, learning a little bit more how to pass, to your players and to your teammates, and learning what it means to score. Also, there is no goalkeeper for this. So this really encourages, and the reason for that, it encourages more scoring. You want to have the kids scoring. You want them to have a great time, right? And if they score, they'll start jumping up and down and have a fantastic time. So that's the point of not having a goalkeeper. It's really to kind of make it to that, so that the players just have a fantastic time out there scoring as many goals as they can. The games themselves tend to be about 30 to 45 minutes, and really what happens is the coaches go out there and they act as referees. So your coaches will be the only ones on the field out there, instructing their players, pushing them, encouraging them, and acting as referees when things go, when the balls go out of bounds or whatever the case. So that's 6U. 8U division. Now the emphasis is a little bit more on training, right? Now we're establishing some of the soccer habits that you need to kind of like prioritize for these players. So we're kind of getting into a little bit more of like, look, we're showing you what it means to be in positions. Now, keep in mind, even at 8U, everybody is supposed to play every position, right? So it's still not a situation, even with 10U as well, it's not a situation where coaches should be saying, okay, you guys will only play forwards and you're going to be our only goalkeeper. That is not the case. In 8U and in 10U, players still need to be rotated as much as possible. So that way every player gets a chance to see what it's like to be a forward. Every player gets a chance to see, to see what it's like to be, a defender or a goalkeeper. If this is not the case for you guys, again, talk to your coaches. If that doesn't help the situation, talk to your division coordinators and then the coach admin. That absolutely should be the case and is something that we're trying to establish with the coaches. Real quick on the bullet points. So practices are once or twice a week, 45-minute practices. Games are about 40 to 45 minutes. It's a 5v5 game with, again, no goalkeeper for this one as well. It's all about scoring. There's no offside rules. So again, more goals, right? We still at this age want to make sure that they're scoring as much as possible. So that way they're having as much fun as possible. Coaches, again, will be responsible for being out there on the field and refereeing their games. There's a possibility that we're going to get youth referees involved in the 8U division. Once we figure that out, we will let you know. But I would almost say the first couple of weeks, coaches will be out there refereeing your games. 10U division. Now things are starting to get a little more serious, right? Coaches will be showing them a bit more about what it means to be a defender, what it means to be a forward, how to kind of play those positions a little bit more. But once again, even though I said it a second ago, players need to be rotating. They have to be rotating and learning all the different positions still. So keep that in mind when your players are out there. So as far as the bullet points go, it's 60-minute practices once, twice a week. The games are about 50 minutes. There's 7v7 games. We definitely have goalkeepers at this point. So goalkeepers, this is the first division that you will see goalkeepers out there. The build-out line. So if you don't know what the build-out line is, it basically in some ways takes the place of the halfway line, right? So if you understand the rules of offsides, and I'm not going to go through it right now because there's a tremendous amount of rules for offsides, but if you understand the rules of offsides, what the build-out line does is it creates the new halfway line. So if you can kind of, where is my mouse pointer? Somewhere here. If you can see it on the video, the build-out line is this guy, the line's in blue right here, right? So offsides, the rules of offsides typically start taking place after the halfway line. In 10U, they take place after the blue line. So if you understand offsides, you'll understand that if something occurs in this or this area right here and it looks like an offsides to you, it is not offsides. It does not take place until after the build-out line. If you want more information, our recommendation, there is a YouTube link that is available right here. And it provides you a good 5 to 10 minute video of what the whole build-out line information is. It is a really, really quick video, and it's really important for you guys to listen to, so please do so. Highly, highly recommended for parents and for coaches. Next up, 12U division. So again, this is where things start getting, again, a bit more serious. Positions now are much more taught, and they're a bit more enforced in terms of like, hey guys, you guys are the forwards, and this is what it means to be a forward. You guys need to perform X and Y to be a quality forward, or you need to perform X and Y to be a quality defender. But keep in mind, even in 12U, it is still a situation where kids need to be rotated. So if you're noticing that your player is always playing a defender and you're thinking, hey, I want my child to play offense from time to time, please talk to the coach. Please let them know. There is a caveat to that. There is a difference to that. So 12U Select, that is a different program that we offer in AYSO 1463. Teams in AYSO Select, they tend to be a bit more competitive, so that rule actually kind of goes out the window. They are allowed to go ahead and set whatever positions they want. They are encouraged to actually do this. So in AYSO 12U Select, that's a little different. But in the recreational division, which almost a majority of you guys are, we still need to make sure that players are kind of bouncing from position to position. Going through the bullet points, that's a 60-minute practice once or twice a week. Chances are it's going to be twice a week. 60-minute games, they are 9v9 games, and your ball size at that point is size 4, so keep that in mind. Actually, for 10U as well, size 4 ball. Goalkeepers, that is a good bullet point there. They cannot play more than 3/4 a keeper, so referees will be on the lookout for that. And keep in mind, if keepers play 3/4 as keeper, they are required to play one quarter on the field. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky, and there's an asterisk to that. Remember, previously, I had mentioned that every player needs to play at least 3/4 before someone can play 4. So the coach is instructed to understand that if somebody plays 3/4 as keeper, well, they're required to play 1 out on the field. Well, they got to make sure that everybody else played 3 first. It can't be a situation where that player plays 4 and somebody else plays 2. So they have to be that. Keep that in mind. Excuse me. Headers in 12U and below are completely not allowed. So keep that in mind as well. 14U. So now at this point, positions are fully enforced, or meaning coaches can kind of actually enforce whatever positions they like. So at that point, we are not required to put players in certain positions. They basically should have their positions and understand what it means. Now, keep in mind, this is unfortunately incorrect in the slide. It says goalkeepers cannot play more than 3/4. That is actually incorrect. So 14U and on, and 16U, they can play 4/4. So that's something that we need to update and correct in this slide. But they can absolutely play 4/4 as a keeper. Headers from 14U and up are completely acceptable. So keep that in mind as well. As far as the bullet points, 90-minute practices, no more than 3 hours a week, 70-minute games, and they are 11v11 games. Ball sizes are size 5 balls. And 16U division, it's basically the same idea, except the games are 80-minute games. They're 11v11 games, size 5 ball. For the most part, the rules are about the same. The only difference is the 16U division. Actually, no, there is no difference. I was about to say the field size, but no, it's the same field size. So everything is basically the same. Division play. So this is where I was mentioning before, some of the olders will be playing in other regions. So interleague, and it starts with 12U. So if you're 10U division and lower, you will always, each and every one of your games will happen at the exact same field. They will be at Warm Springs Middle School Field, which is actually by Torrey Pines Park. For 12U and up, there's interleague play. So for 12U, you will only ever play against Murrieta teams, other Murrieta teams, or you will play against French Valley teams. And French Valley is maybe about 10 minutes away east, right past the French Valley Airport. 14U, you will be playing against 3 other regions. So you got French Valley, you got Menifee, and you got Paris. And you may have another team in Murrieta. So that's going to be split up between those regions. 16U, you will have play against the following 2, French Valley and Paris. So each one of your teams, you'll have a combination of, you'll either play at Murrieta at Warm Springs, or you will play against one of these teams. And the schedule will be available sometime in the next few weeks. And as soon as we have that available, we will provide that to you. But be aware, schedules are always the last thing everybody gets. So it may be as last minute as possible, or it may be really 11th hour. So keep that in mind. But we will try to get it to you as soon as we can. So we have what's called the sportsmanship pin. So we're kind of going into, a little, some of the programs that we offer 1463. So we have what's called the sportsmanship pins. We started this last season. It went extremely well. And it goes into what I talked about earlier in regard to sportsmanship, right? It's really important. So actually first, what ends up happening is 2 pins are available per game. And this is actually for 6U, 8U, 10U, 12U, and possibly 14U as well. So what happens is each 2 pins are given. 1 pin to one coach, 1 pin to another coach. And we ask the coaches during the game, keep an eye out for who you think is the best the best sportsman on the opposite team, right? So it could be a situation where one kid is helping out another, like picking him off the ground, or somebody drops their glasses on the floor and the other, an opposing, player picks up their glasses, and here you go. Basically, somebody who is either a great sportsman out there or who is playing their hearts out. They may not be scoring, they may not be playing extremely well, but you could tell they're playing super hard and they're trying their hardest, right? So that's what this is. And at the very end of the game, the coaches will look for this child and select this child and say, and then they'll say a few words and say, guess what? You were the best sport out there. Here's why, and here's your pin as an acknowledgement of this, right? And that's going to happen for each and every one of our games. And it's a great way to let these players know, you guys are great sportsmen. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for being great sports out there. And by the way, a quick little caveat, some of the parents are confused about this last season. It's not a situation where every child will get this pin. It's not a participation pin. So it could be a situation where one or two kids might end up winning it 2 or 3 times. However, we do try to cap that at about 2 or 3 times, right? Because we don't necessarily want one child to be winning it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So there is a little bit of a limit, but it could be a scenario where one of your kids does win it a few times based on how well they perform out there in terms of being a good sport. Commissioner's Cup. So what is the Commissioner's Cup? Well, first of all, it happens on May 16th. And what the Commissioner's Cup is, there are going to be some volunteer tasks that all of you as parents are going to be asked and basically required to do. The Commissioner's Cup happens at the very, very end of the season. It happens on May 16th, and it's almost a celebration of the end of the season. We're going to have vendors there. It's almost kind of how we're going to do the opening day. We're going to have vendors there. It's a little bit of a party. We might have some, giveaways. But more importantly, what happens is if teams perform various volunteer tasks, they're going to earn points for these volunteer tasks. And it could be a situation where parents, you guys are asked to help with cleaning up, or you guys will be asked to help with manning, the board tent for an hour, answering questions or giving out water. Or some of you might be asked, look, we need referees, so please sign up to be a referee. And if you referee a certain amount of games, you guys will get points. So there's various criteria that you guys are going to have to follow. And if you follow this criteria, you will be rewarded with joining the Commissioner's Cup at the end of the season. And keep in mind, you can be the team that is completely undefeated at the end of the season. But if you have not completed these volunteer points, you cannot attend the Commissioner's Cup. And the inverse, if you have a team that just has not done well, but you guys did a great job with the volunteer points, you will absolutely be invited to this little celebration at the end of the year. And you will play against these teams to determine then who is considered the AYSO Commissioner's Cup champion, end of season champion. And you guys get these special medals, and here's kind of a preview of what the medal looks like. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So parents, I'm going to ask you, coaches have been asked to talk to you guys about, look, we need to volunteer as much as possible. It's insanely important. So please do your best to get these points in order for your child at the end of the year to be involved in this celebration. And just so you guys know, this is specifically for 8U, 10U, and 12U divisions. Every other division, you'll have a little something, but for the most part, this is for 8U, 10U, and 12U. And then for 14U, there's a little medal that you're seeing down there. They're gonna have their own tournament. So at the end of the year, whoever ends up being the team that's kind of in first place for 14U, we're all going to go to Menifee, and we're all going to do a little tournament celebration in Menifee for 14U only, and they're going to duke it out to see who ends up being the 14U champion, right? So that's where that medal comes in specifically for 14U division. And more information. So actually, this is where it kind of goes into the whole volunteer-related, slides. So who are volunteers? So the full-time volunteers are basically board members, right? So they're the regional commissioners, they're the treasurers, registrars. It's anybody who you're going to see in light blue out there helping out with the region itself. It's either light blue or purple, because those are basically our colors. Seasonal volunteers are basically the coaches, the assistant coaches, referees, team managers. There are those who we always need help on, right? So as far as what an AYSO volunteer is, it's basically everyone I said a second ago. And, why do we need volunteers? Well, the truth of the matter is that's the only way, to be frank with you guys, that we get anything done. There was a situation a couple years ago where we weren't really doing a good job asking for volunteers, and it came down to like 2 or 3 different board members who were doing 90% of the work every single week, or even the planning beforehand, and it was exhausting. And it was a situation where there was a chance our region was going to close because those people cannot handle doing all the work all year long. So we needed to find a system to kind of get parents to understand we absolutely need your help to do this, whether it's coaching, whether it's refereeing, whether it's, lining the fields. We need that help in order for this region to survive. We are 100% a volunteer organization. Even our presidents, even the AYSO national office presidents who determine what happens with the entire organization, like from New York to Temecula, Murrieta, they are 100% volunteer. They do not get paid for their time. So we need as much help from you guys as possible. Without you guys, we cannot make this happen. So who can be a volunteer? It could be anybody. It could be moms. It could be dads, sisters, brothers, grandparents, even kids. We have a youth volunteer program. I mean, have them join and be a youth volunteer referee. It could be anybody. It could be a family friend. You do not have to have a child to volunteer. We actually have some coaches who do not have children in the system, and they will be helping to volunteer because they just love the game of soccer. So anybody can be involved. And how can you help? Again, there's no experience necessary, right? All you got to do is sign an application. All you got to do is fill that application out. We build your knowledge. We give you all the tools out there to help you out. So we give you everything we need. So please, if you guys have any interest in being coaches, assistant coaches, referees, we always need referees. Without them as well, we cannot have a season. So please step up and be a referee. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of good exercise. It's a blast. And then youth referees as well. We do have a youth referee program that, kids as old as even like 10, 11, they can be involved. So please let us know. If you are interested in having your children help out as youth referees, please let us know. So where do I sign up? So what you do is you would go to, our website. Here's a link right here, but all you really need to do is go to AYSO1463.com. If you look under the volunteer header, there's what's called the volunteer portal. And in that portal, it'll tell you step by step on exactly what you need to do. So we try to make it as simple as possible for you. So please, guys, if you have any time whatsoever, volunteer. It's incredibly important to our region. Here are some of the certifications that every volunteer that signs up, they are required to have. So we have both the Safe Haven course and we also have the CDC concussion course. Both of those are incredibly important. The Safe Haven course, it's about a 20-minute online course that you take at your own time, and so is the concussion course. You take it on your own time. It's basic information on what you need to know for the safety of these kids, right? So if you're going to be out there volunteering as a coach, as a referee, even as a team parent, as a board member, you need to be able to understand and know what are the symptoms of a concussion? And if you see a concussion, what do you do? What's the next step, right? So it's really, really basic, good information that all of us are required to have. Be advised that all coaches, all referees, everybody out there who's a volunteer is 100% required to have this information. If they do not, they cannot be coaches out there. They cannot have practices. They cannot be out there with your kids. It's incredibly important they know this information. And then certifications are 1,000,000% required. So understand that if you become a coach, we have various online certifications, especially for the younger groups that you can do on your own time. So that way you may not be required to kind of attend a coaching certification, although it is highly, highly, highly recommended you do. If anything, it should be a bit more required. But there are certifications online that you are required to take in order to become a coach. Now, referees, there are also a requirement there as well as far as an online portion that takes about 2 to 3 hours for you to understand what it means to be a referee. But there is also a on-field requirement after you're done with that, online requirement for you to understand what it means to be a referee. And again, a lot of this stuff seems a little daunting, but I promise you, once you get into it, it's very simple. The way these modules are set up are incredibly simple. All it needs is you guys to take a little bit of your time and go on your computer and go online and just take these tests. They're very, very simple. So as much as you can do, we absolutely appreciate it. Okay, keep going. Youth referee program and youth mentoring incentives. So I already kind of talked about this briefly, but yeah, kids as young as 12 to 18, maybe even 10 to 11, like I mentioned before, they can sign up to be youth referees. And this is an amazing way for them to actually learn the game of soccer. So it will help them out in terms of understanding the rules. And that's where some of our coaches themselves send some of their own kids to these things, so that way they can learn the rules and be better at the game. And we provide a youth mentoring program. We have an advanced referee who's trying to go for national right now. His name is Jerry Lee Stewart. He's done a fantastic job with this program. He will be out there mentoring the kids and also having some other senior personnel mentoring the kids as well. So they will never be put out there blind. We will have people out there shadowing your kids to provide them feedback, to let them know what they're doing is right or wrong in a very constructive, positive way. So please, if you guys have kids out there and you want to get them involved, please do. And also, just so you're aware too, if you have some of the older kids, this can work as credit at high schools. So feel free to let us know if you need, some sort of extracurricular credit. Let us know. We can sign some of those documents for this as well. So as far as referees, why do we need them? Well, I mean, it's a situation of if we don't have referees, we can't have play out there. Now, keep in mind, you're reading this right now, and it's like, why can't we keep referees? Well, a lot of times the parents feel like we don't want to get yelled at, right? Well, here's the good news. The good news is we have done a really good job of curbing that in the last few seasons. There was a problem about a year or two ago where parents were getting a little rowdy and coaches were getting a little rowdy with the referees, and they weren't liking that. And we noticed that. And because of that, we were losing referees. So our job as a board was to basically re-inform the parents and the coaches that is not acceptable. We cannot be talking back to the referees. Everybody's human. We all make mistakes. There's a lot of referees out there who are brand new. They were just learning to referee games. We need to respect the referees as much as possible. And ever since we've been enforcing that, it's been a huge, significant improvement. So we're telling you, don't be intimidated. We've improved all that. It's a lot of fun. It's great exercise, especially if you start out, you would just start out as an assistant referee on the line, running the lines, using the flags, and that is just a lot of fun. So please, 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 if you're interested at all in refereeing, sign up. We can absolutely use the help. Volunteer points. So this is where I'm going to get a little bit into this, but our coaches and our coach instructors will provide you more info. I've kind of gone over this already. It's the idea that there's going to be several different criteria that you need to meet or parents need to meet in order to be involved in the Commissioner's Cup. And again, the Commissioner's Cup is a fun little, event that we're going to have at the end of the year where teams play against other teams in order to determine who are the champions. So please, parents, when the coaches talk to you about volunteering, whether it be as a ref, whether it be to kind of help out at the board tent, 1,000,000%, we beg you, please step up and volunteer. We want to make sure that your kids are involved in the Commissioner's Cup. We want to make sure that your coaches and teams are involved. It's a lot of fun, and you don't want the team that's sad because they just couldn't make it into the Commissioner's Cup. A lot of what we're asking for is very simple stuff. As long as you take care of it early on, you will be fine. So please make sure you do so. Fundraisers. So again, everything we do is 100% volunteer. And then on top of that, our expenses, what you pay for to register your kids, we have got it down as low as possible. And everything we pay for is really, really expensive. So all the uniforms we purchase are incredibly expensive. The fields, they take, for every season, it's about $6,000 to pay for the fields. So that means $12,000 per year. It's a lot of money to do this. Now, the one thing that I don't want to have you guys do is ask you guys to sell candy bars and go out and sell popcorn and do all this extra stuff, because that's a ton of work. And even myself, I don't necessarily have the time either, to be frank with you guys. So all we ask you to do, it's real simple. We're going to send you guys information on all these eat-in fundraisers. We're sure you guys have probably seen these. It's a situation where on a certain day, these particular restaurants will make it so that from a certain time to another certain time, you come in, you order, you let them know, hey, I'm a part of AYSO 1463. Show them a picture of a banner or a flyer from this event, and they will give credit to our region. And what's going to happen is every single one of these restaurants will give us a percentage back. So that's all we're asking for, guys. If on these dates, and we will send you guys this information as it gets closer, but if you guys please, please, please can go to one of these restaurants, purchase, a dinner at Carl's Jr., at The Habit, at Miguel's, Wendy's, Rubio's, Chipotle, Raising Cane's, Yogurt Factory, that is going to help provide us the funds we need to get new equipment, to help with restoring the fields, a lot of stuff that we need that takes thousands of dollars to do. And that way we can keep your registration funds as low as we are, because they truly are as low as we can make it. So we would absolutely appreciate that support. A quick note, we actually are really, really excited. We just signed a deal with UK International, and they actually have a deal with AYSO itself. So they're called AYSO soccer camps. And they're these amazing soccer camps that happen in the summer. And what happens is they fly out these really well-trained British or UK soccer instructors, and they will live in our area for the summer and also in fall, and they provide this world-class, amazing soccer camps for a week for your children. So registration for it is actually open now. We will start providing that information to you very soon, if not definitely by next week, the week of, I believe, let's see real quick, the week of the 24th or February 24th. But if you guys are interested in some world-class summer camps for your kids at a very, very reasonable price for an entire week, sign up. These guys do an amazing job, and they're really world high class guys. So, or women actually. So please feel free to sign up. Lastly, we're almost done. Keep the following in mind. So practices cannot start until Monday. So coaches are going to start contacting you. If they do not contact you by Friday, which is February 19th, I believe, or the 20th, please email us and let us know as soon as possible. Non-registered players or volunteers cannot participate in practices or games. So if you're not registered, or volunteers are not registered with their certifications, they cannot do practices. So we are talking to the coaches right now and reminding them you have to have your safe haven and CDC done before practices and before games. Before game number one, they have to make sure that they have their coach certifications. Under no circumstances should adults play in scrimmages. That goes for coaches. That goes for parents. And the question is why? Why not? Well, because of insurance. AYSO covers the children. Right? But that's it. They do not cover adults. They do not cover coaches. They do not cover parents. So if you guys start running out there and you guys get injured, we need to let you know that it is not covered under AYSO insurance. So please be aware of that. Only your children are covered by AYSO insurance. Clubs linesmen, they are also not covered by AYSO insurance. So if you don't know what a club linesman is, basically, there might be a situation where we may not have enough refs for your game, although chances are we should be okay with that. Last season, we did great with refs. But in those instances, we may ask a parent to kind of help out and just kind of, mimic the referees by using a flag, and that's kind of it. But keep in mind, if a club linesman falls and something happens and sprains his ankle or breaks an ankle, unfortunately, they are also not covered by AYSO insurance. So we need to make sure you guys are aware of that as well. And this one is actually really important. A lot of parents miss this. Pets are absolutely not allowed. Sorry, guys. We know you guys love your pets. We do too. But for insurance purposes, we cannot have pets on the field. If we see pets, we will a million percent ask you guys to take them off the field. The only exception to that rule, of course, if they are certified service pets and they need to have their certified, what they wear on the pets on them at all times. So upcoming events for you guys to be aware of, there is a coach meet and greet, and this is going to be a fun little event for you guys and the coaches to basically say hello and meet each other and talk for a few minutes, and it's just going to be a quick little event for you guys to say hello. And also we're going to have a 20% off coupon that we're going to give for Dick's Sporting Goods for you guys to go there and buy your last minute stuff. Practices begin, like we mentioned before, February 24th. Coach training. So for you coaches out there, we mentioned this during the coach meeting, but February 29th, we are going to have coach training. We will show you a slide on that in a second. Referee training. This is for brand new referees who have never refereed before. February 29th, same day. So if you wanted to, coaches out there, if you wanted to knock this out in one day, the referee training will actually happen first. It's going to happen at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then right when referee training is done, that's when coach training for 6U and 8U happens, okay? 10U is a little bit later in the day, but for 6U and 8U, you can go ahead and get rid of it as soon as possible. Field lining, that's when we're going to have an event to line 7 or so fields takes a lot of work, you guys. So we're going to have a couple of our board members kind of help line some of these fields. And we're going to need people out there on March 3rd, which I believe is a Tuesday, to kind of help take paint and start lining the field. So this is the first time that you guys will be able to kind of get some volunteer points. So more info on that will be coming soon. Opening day, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, is March 7th, and first game, your very first game is on March 14th. So again, these are just some quick images. If you want to take a look, meet and greet event is this Friday. So here are your times: 6U division, 8U division, 10U division, 12U and 14U. These are your times that you're supposed to make it at. Schoolyard and VIP, we will have your own little moment for you guys to meet your schoolyard coaches and VIP. So stay tuned on that. We'll provide you info on that later. 16U, your coach will be contacting you soon. Again, regional referee, that happens on February 29th, a Saturday, from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Really important, and I mentioned this, but it's super important. You need to do the online portion before you attend. It has to be done before you attend. You would sign up on AYSOU.org, and we're going to provide you more instructions because, there are instructions on how to do this all. It's not complicated, but, you need the steps, so we'll provide that to you as soon as possible. There's also the coach training seminars that happen on the exact same day. I already talked about that briefly, but 6U and 8U, you're going to go from 11:30 to 1. 10U, you're going from 1 to 3. You also need to sign up for these at AYSOU.org. And again, there's a step-by-step process, and we will provide that information to you very soon on emails. Find courses at AYSOU. 12U coaches, there are also going to be some in-person coach courses at French Valley and Corona. Keep in mind, all these courses, we want you to take them with us as soon as possible. It just makes more sense. You want to be able to see other coaches in our region. You want to be able to talk to us because we are the coaches. We are, the instructors who you're going to see, every single week. It's best you do it with us. But if for whatever reason you can't make it, there are also other courses that are available in other regions like French Valley or Menifee. You can always go to AYSOU.org to find that information. Now, all you do to sign into AYSOU.org, just as an FYI, you use the same sign-in credentials that you used on Blue Sombrero, the same location where you signed up your child. Opening day. So there are no games on opening day. This is just meant to be the first time that you guys get on the field. Every one of your kids is going to be fully in uniform. This is picture day, really. So schedule for that is TBD. We will provide a schedule as far as when your division should show up. And just expect that, we're going to have a cool little event day. It's going to be soccer-themed competitions. The coaches will need to assist on the field, with coordinators. There's going to be a fundraiser for drawing for various different items that we're going to have on the field. Basket donations are going to be asked of from coaches, so that'll be part of the drawing. There's going to be a temporary tattoo station, inflatable games, banners are going to be available. Just so you know, your coaches are going to ask you, hey, look, I need to get banners done as quickly as possible. What do you want to name your team? Please help out the coaches as much as possible, as quickly as possible. On top of that, it's not on here, but we're going to have, merchandise for you guys to buy as well. That's part of our fundraiser. So we're going to have hats. We're going to have some sweatshirts. We're going to have some pins. We're going to have some stickers. All of that stuff. If you purchase, first of all, it's going to look cool and it helps the community. But it really is a fundraiser to provide some more funds for us as well. And again, it's meant to be a little event day, which is fun for your kids. Lastly, please, if you haven't done so already, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We also have a YouTube account. It's really important that you guys are on there. So we provide information on there all the time. And also on our website, which is down below. If you can, bookmark our website. We provide information to every single one of them all the time. So it's super important that you guys are following this. So that way you're up to date with everything. And that's kind of it, everybody. Thank you so much. Hopefully this helps answer some of your questions. If you have any other additional questions, again, feel free to email myself. Feel free to email our coach administrators. All you need to do to find our contact info, you can go back on our slide in this video and find the information, or you can just go to our website, AYSO1463.com. There is a contact us button on the header, and it includes all of the various personnel that you need to contact. Other than that, Hope you guys have a lot of fun. You guys should have a lot of fun. We'll see you soon. If you guys have any questions, let us know, and we will be emailing you every single week with information. So let us know if you need anything else. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great spring 2020 season.